Hi there, my name is Shaun Bindley and this is Meet the Ministers. My guest on the program this evening is the member for Maroochydore, Fiona Simpson. Fiona, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Why did you choose politics as a career? You've done quite a few different things in your life. Why politics? What was it about the time that inspired you to get involved at a state level?
Well, I didn't grow up thinking, gee, this is what I'm going to do.
Didn't have your eye on the prize when you were at high school?
No, which might surprise some people.
Seems a little unusual, yeah.
Because I had a family background in that my dad had been a member of parliament for a different seat from the one I subsequently contested. But I was a journalist and I always thought I'd be a journalist. That's what I had focused on in my training and my years in that particular occupation. So it was quite a significant detour, you could say, but it's not a detour when you decide that you're going to burn your bridges and cross over from journalism onto the other side. And
Did that involve a lot of bridge burning?
well, look, I think it is about standing out, where as a journalist you should be objective in what you do. That's what your aim is.
Yep.
Everyone's got personal opinions, but to then put yourself forward and to express those opinions publicly and being willing to go out there and fight for people in a public arena. You lose your privacy, I suppose, so there is a big crossing over from life as a journalist where you're commentating on everything else to actually being the one who's out there trying to get things done.
Was it really a case of, I think I can do better?
Yes, I thought, well, if you don't like what's going on, get in there and have a go. And, you know, in life I think there's a lot of times when you're faced with choices. And for me, I was really concerned about things that were happening in my local community. And there was a little fire was burning inside, and I thought, well, you know, if you don't like it, you better get in there and have a go. So I put my hand up.
Was it a gradual process of coming to that state of mind? Was there one thing in particular that really allowed you to step over, cross the line?
Actually, it happened very quickly. And I had been working as a journalist. I'd enjoyed that occupation. I always intended to go back. I'd taken a sabbatical, if you like, a creative sabbatical while I was doing some music and some other occupations. I was freelancing as a journalist at the time. And when these issues arose in the community, it was a fairly sudden decision, if you like, when I decided I'd join the party and go for pre-selection and run for that seat. So it doesn't happen overnight that you get pre-selection or you get elected. But when you do decide to stand forward, in my case, it actually happened very quickly.
Why the National Party then? Not exactly the party that you would associate, certainly here in Queensland, a good place for a woman to find her way into politics. Well, maybe that's stepping over the line in this day and age, but certainly back then.
Well, actually, when I contested, when I went, there were 3 women in the pre-selection and 1 man.
Yep.
So there was a very good representation of women standing forward, and the other person I most narrowly beat was a very, very good woman. Okay. So I was fortunate in that there were women standing forward, and there still are women out there standing forward throughout rural, regional, Queensland, throughout the state. But what we see now, that it tends to be more coming through into the local government arena. I want to see that change so we do see it flow through into state and federal. That is still an area I believe needs a lot of focus.
Now, you were born in Victoria, living in a rural upbringing right from the start?
Well, I was born on the wheat and sheep in the Mallee area of Victoria, but I was only 3 when we shifted to Queensland. Okay. And, you know, you don't choose where you're born. I'm very proud of my heritage, but I'm so glad my parents shifted to Queensland. They wanted us to be near education, not have to be sent away to school. Now, I know there's a lot of people living in Queensland out in the real rural areas who have to go away to school. I'm on the Sunshine Coast, so, boy, that's a great place to live.
A great move by your parents on your behalf to move from cold and windy Victoria to live on the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, I love it on the coast, and I'm close to a lot of things, and it's a lovely place to grow up as a child. It's a great place to go back and work and then subsequently represent.
Still a rural upbringing? I mean, your father represented the seat of Karura, is that right?
That's right, he represented Karura. I represented Maroochydore from the start.
Does Karura still exist?
No,
as a seat?
But it's based on the old Noosa.
Okay.
And my seat came out of the old Nicklin, a little bit of Karura, but mainly Nicklin and Landsborough, which was previously Micah Hearn's seat. So my area has been based mainly down in the coastal area of Maroochydore, Mooloolaba up to Coolum. So yes, I have a rural and regional background, which I I treasure. It's a great childhood. My own background growing up in a coastal area, I suppose it gives you an understanding across the range of people's backgrounds because of where I've come from and where I live, and also what I've subsequently done as a professional as well. That
wonderfully unique crossover that exists on the Sunshine Coast, where you can actually live and work on a farm and in 20 minutes be sitting on the beach.
Well, I live at Maroochydore, so while, like a lot of people whose background is off the land, the kids actually don't end up going back on the land. They go and get other occupations, they shift. There's a lot of demographic shift within Queensland. A lot of people who move throughout the state for work, and certainly their children for education. And I think that's part of the life we live these days, is that people go on and get other qualifications. There's, I suppose, an issue of people ageing on the land, though I haven't personally gone on for an occupation on the land. I have a love and appreciation of just the diversity that makes up Queensland. It's really a very diverse state and very diverse communities that I think make us a very, very interesting state.
We are coming to a break fairly soon. Where did you see yourself heading as sort of a 15, 16-year-old? I'm guessing that you already had an eye on a journalistic career at that stage.
I did. I love writing, but I like getting involved and seeing what's going on and trying to make sense of that in the way that you present.
Good career choice then as a journalist?
Great research background, and certainly now in politics you have to do a lot of your own research. You don't have staff to do that. Certainly as a shadow minister you have to pretty well get in there and do it yourself. So it's a very handy background.
You're writing your own speeches?
Oh yes. I don't have the novelty of somebody else doing it. I'm pretty re-edited anyway, so...
Is that a totally different process? Having journalistic background help with that in the process of actually writing the speech? Obviously in the research, it's a different presentation though, is it?
At the end of the day, it's really about connecting with people. And when you write, you want to connect with people. You can try and write for yourself, but it really should be about connecting with the audience, whether it's an audience that reads what you write, or as a Member of Parliament, it should be about connecting with those that you're representing. And if you're talking to them, not speaking from up here, but understanding where they're at and being able to open the door for them to communicate with you.
Interesting. You're watching Meet the Ministers. My guest on the program this evening is Fiona Simpson, and we'll be back after the break.